And I'm here to tell you that the streets are much safer than they were the last time I was here. And I can tell you, it is a huge change. So I don't care what the other news agencies are telling you. I'm telling you, it is a big difference from what President Trump has done. And I hope he moves this to all the other big cities, Chicago, Baltimore, that need help, because the people need help. And I will tell you right now, it's an amazing transformation on what's happened here. Well, Mike asked me to do the show today. Obviously, he's not here. He's doing some important work, but he was here yesterday, and I was here as well. Some important work that he was doing. It's amazing. He got an opportunity to talk with the president. I think he told you that, and some of the things that he shared with the president, I think, are worth talking about today. The first thing I want to talk about is Tina Peters, because Tina Peter has been something that all of us, everybody watching this program, and to include the president, sees as a huge injustice to Tina Peters. The people of Colorado want her released. People all across America want her released. And I know that President Trump has said, let's make it happen. She should not be in jail. What's happened to Tina Peters is a travesty. It's a travesty in the United States, and we need to fix that. Yesterday, there was an interview, a short interview done with Mr. Will Huff, and he's been following the Tina Peter case very closely. They did a little news clip on that. I'd like to run that, and then after that, after he talks, I'll give you my thoughts on it. Can y'all run that with, after this truck passes me, with the Will Huff interview?
Hey everybody, Kara Castronova with Lindell TV here at the White House with Will Huff, a policy expert who is working behind the scenes to free Tina Peters, which is so important. What's going on behind the scenes with Tina Peters?
Well, the president was serious when he said get Tina Peters out, so he has directed the government to work on all possible options to get Tina out. One thing people don't know is her 70th birthday is coming up. It's going to be on September 11th. So the goal would be to have Tina out before her 70th birthday. We don't want her spending her 70th birthday in that Colorado jail where she's being mistreated and where her rights have been stripped from her and she's been dehumanized in that system. So they're working on it. The DOJ is working on a plan. They're going through different legal options that are constitutional to get her into or out of the state prison as soon and as quickly as possible. So we're working. The president is serious about getting Tina out. It's not empty words. People have been assigned to it, and there is work going on.
That's great news to hear. Have you spoken to her? How is she doing mentally? Is she sticking to it and staying strong?
I spoke with there's a lady named Marcy who takes care of Tina's estate, and I've spoken with her a lot in the last few weeks. And Tina has health problems. She has had biopsies on half of her lungs. She's not a healthy person, and so she's down. And the president posting about her and saying to get her released lifted her spirits, and she's getting um, more excited about the possibility that she may be getting out. What we do know is she didn't get a fair trial in Denver or in Colorado. She didn't get to present all the evidence, and we also know her sentence was way more harsh than other people who have never had a criminal background or criminal record, and she got 9 years in jail for something that probably should have been probation if she had really committed a crime.
Right. So what's the next steps and how could people help out?
What we need everyone to do is first pray. We need to pray that the right people get the message and that Tina is released. Pray for her health, pray for her mental well-being, and pray for her treatment in Colorado. And right now, everyone should be on social media with hashtag #FreeTinaPeters and posting and tagging everyone you can think of to pray for Tina Peters.
Is Ed Martin on top of this? Actually, he can't be. What am I saying? He's only in charge of federal pardons. For example, could Ed Martin's talk to maybe the pardon attorney for the state of Colorado about pardoning Tina Peters, or that's just not going to happen, obviously?
No, what Ed Martin can do is make Tina a federal witness to a federal crime. And if that happens, there is possibility we don't have to go through crooked Colorado to get her out, where it can be the U.S. Marshals taking Tina Peters out of Colorado.
Well, that's exciting because there were a lot of federal crimes that Tina Peters witnessed. Obviously, a lot of people say have to do with the election. Could you name a federal crime, an investigation that could possibly be opened that Tina Peters could be a witness at?
Based on the Mesa report number 3, federal election data was deleted and replaced. There are federal laws on preserving federal election data. That is where a crime has been committed or could have been committed that she is the main witness to, and her testifying on that would put her life in danger.
Right, so that, and then we'd be killing two birds with one stone by freeing Tina Peters and obviously, hopefully, bringing charges against people who might have committed election fraud in 2020.
Correct. And so we have to get a federal plan together to get her out, but it's in the works. People are going to make it a priority to get her out, and we're hoping before her birthday on September 11th.
So we're praying for that, praying for Tina Peters to get out, free Tina Peters. President Trump, please help Tina Peters out. And everybody out there, like Will said, please pray, because prayer does work, and Tina Peters needs our prayers right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was a good video, and basically what Mr. Huff was trying to say was, get her out now. There are ways to do it. We need the government to start moving quickly. I know the president wants that. The DOJ needs to start moving fast because Tina needs to get out of prison, and we want that to happen before her birthday, as Mr. Huff said, which is September 11th this year. She'll turn 70. So we're praying for her, and we'll continue to hope that she gets out immediately. And then the other topic I want to talk about today, there's several actually, but for the next 15 or 20 minutes, I want to talk about election integrity. And I know we've talked about this over and over, but we've got to get moving on this. Time is of the essence. And that was one of the messages that Mike conveyed to the president yesterday and said, look, election integrity, getting what you want. We know you did an executive order March 25th. We know you put out a post, and we know you're going to do a new executive order. But we need to make sure that it is done quickly, and that is one of the things that we're here to try to make sure that that happens. You know, government is slow on a lot of things, but this one they can't be. This one they've got to move fast. But I wanted to list off a couple of things that I know that was brought up over the last few months, but also yesterday. I'm sure that Mike covered that with the president. But there's some reasons why we need to get rid of these machines. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read a couple of them to you. There's 5, but the first is foreign components and election equipment. And all major U.S. election vendors, notably ES&S and Dominion, rely heavily on Chinese manufactured hardware and components. What did I say? Chinese manufactured hardware and components. What am I talking about? Chips, motherboards, modems, creating potential backdoors for manipulation. Folks, that is big. That is huge. We cannot have foreign parts made by our adversaries in our critical infrastructure. And we'll talk about the legal reasoning why that's important and this whole idea of getting rid of machines. The second topic is confirm exploitable vulnerabilities. If y'all remember, Director Tulsi Gabbard, ODNI, Office of National Intelligence, she put out persistent, she didn't say this, but this was kind of the deal, persistent security gaps, outdated software, barcode-based vote tabulation. You guys in Arkansas know exactly what I'm talking about. In South Carolina, unsecured wireless modems are widely documented. Intelligence assessments confirm adversaries have long-standing capabilities to exploit these vulnerabilities to alter election outcomes without detection. And I think that is most important, without detection, because everybody wants evidence a lot of times, but if you are smart enough to be able to go in and change the outcome of an election and back out of that system without there being any trace that you were ever there. Okay, yeah, but without detection. Number 3. Active foreign interference attempts. There's a recent intelligence disclosure, which was in June of 2025, that revealed China's sophisticated plot to manipulate U.S. elections via tens of thousands of counterfeit IDs. I think they were driver's license, intended to generate fraudulent mail-in ballots in critical battleground states. Did y'all know that? Did you know that the Chinese had done that? It's incredible. The other one was insufficient federal law. Election law compliance. Many states, and we've known this and we've complained about this, but many states fail to enforce the federal election requirements. They accept late ballots, inadequate citizenship verification, poor voter roll maintenance, making elections susceptible to both domestic and foreign manipulation. Think about that, both domestic and foreign manipulation. And then the national security at risk, it says continued vulnerabilities undermine public confidence and threaten national security. Exploitation could directly manipulate election outcomes, trigger civil unrest, and compromise the continuity of government. And these are things that are not even the classified portions of of a report that I think is coming out in the next couple of weeks. This is just the unclassified. This is enough right here to justify getting rid of all of the machines, getting rid of the mail-out ballots. We got to make sure that our elections are safe and secure. That's been my fight for the last 3 years. We've been trying to make that happen in our little state of Arkansas, and we've been fought by everybody. Unfortunately, it's Republicans that are fighting me. And we've talked about that before on the show. I'll talk about it a little bit later. But I want to tell you, people say, well, what can we do? Well, what is the president's authority? What can he do? Well, he could do an executive order like he did in March, and he's going to do another one. But there are some other laws that can play into this, and I'd like to bring these up. Number one, there is a law. There is an executive order 13873, and basically what that says is you cannot use foreign parts made by our adversaries in our critical infrastructure. There's something that called the final rule that came in effect in February of this year that basically codifies that executive order. So by law, right now, law in our country gives the president the authority to ask the Director of Commerce, which is Howard Lutnick, to look at the machine parts that are put in these machines, and are they foreign parts? We know that every one of these machine companies, that's what they use. And they'll tell you, we have to use the global supply market. So they put in parts in these machines that they have no idea, if they've been compromised or not. And that's what we're voting on. So by this executive order and by this final rule, the president has the authority today, right now, to say we cannot allow these. And Secretary Lutnick could come out and say, nope, we're no longer going to allow that. And these machines could be banned from use immediately, which means we'd have to go to our paper ballot system, because there's no way you can get any other machine made in time that would even come close to being certified. It takes about 1.5 to 2 years for it to go through the testing process. So that wouldn't even happen. So every state, I'm telling you right now, get prepared for a paper ballot, hand-marked paper ballot election that's hand-counted. That's what we're going to have to do in order to assure that our election integrity is right, and that the elections of 2026 are honest and fair and open and transparent. That is what we want, and that's what we're going to be fighting for. Again, the bottom line recommendation, there's several, and I want to go through these because this is what we're asking for. We're asking for that government ID. That's not a hard concept, but government ID should be used. Not an ID from a university that has a picture on it. No, a government-issued ID. We want that. We also want to make sure that U.S. citizens, only U.S. citizens, are allowed to register to vote. I don't think these are concepts that are common sense. I don't know why people would be fighting it, except unless they wanted to cheat. So we want to make sure that U.S. citizens only are allowed to register. Only pre-printed, hand-marked paper ballots, not machines. Only pre-printed paper ballots can be used. The next one is ballots must be hand-counted at the precinct level. And there's a reason for that, folks. If you go back to the precinct level, small precincts of 1,500 to 2,000 people, it's not difficult to be able to count those at the end of the night. And we know that. But these vote centers that we have currently are very convenient. Don't get me wrong. Extremely convenient. But it's almost impossible to be able to have all the ballot styles that are required at these vote centers. If you go back to small precincts, you may have 3 or 4 different ballot styles. And what I mean by that is, for example, you may live in one town, but you can only vote for the justice of a peace or a mayor in one city, and then in the other city under someone else, and you're in different precincts, or you're in the same precinct, but you have different people you can vote for. That is what we're talking about, a ballot style. So you may have 3 or 4 per precinct, but not much. Again, workers don't like this because it is hard, and it's hard to do sometimes. And counting, you can't just put it in the machine and forget about it. And so that is why we're going to get a lot of pushback and a lot of anger from those people who actually work elections, and we understand that. But if you want fair elections, this is what we're going to have to do. Sometimes, it's going to hurt to have surgery, but you got to do it in order to get better, and that's kind of where we're at now, and that's what we're pushing for. The other thing, no mass mailouts authorized. No mass mailouts authorized. That means we don't want mass mailouts. I'm sorry, Oregon, you're going to have to change your system. And also the other states like California and Arizona, you're going to have to figure out that no mass mailouts. That is what the Chinese were trying to take advantage of when they were getting all these IDs and all the things they were trying to do. And we know that President Carter, back in the mid 2005 or 2006, when they came out with the study, they said, guess what? Mail-out ballots is no good. You can't do that. It's got to be in-person voting. We need in-person voting. You can have absentee ballots. Absentee ballots are not anything that is that we're against, but you got to have a reason for it. And overseas military personnel, UNICAVA citizens that live in overseas, no problem. They can vote as well on absentee ballot, but you can't do it the way that they're talking about now by mass mail-outs to just about everybody that's on these imperfect voter rolls. And we all know that they inflate these voter rolls, and we've seen time and time again, report after report after report, where you may have 8, 10, 12, maybe 100 people living at one address and it happens to be a parking lot. That has to change. We have to fix that. And we're going to, if all of these things are implemented, and that's what we're trying to get President Trump to push, and we think he has the authority to do it. No doubt it'll be challenged in court. We understand that. But if we don't try and if we don't do this, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to always ask the question, is this election fair? Do we know if anybody's actually messing with it? We won't know. And so that is why it's important, and that's what we're pushing for. The other thing we said is eliminate early voting. We want to go to one-day elections. I know early voting, it's very convenient for a lot of people, but we really do need to go to one-day voting. And all of these recommendations that we're talking about here, I have to put on my national security hat, because I will tell you, this is the gold standard. This is the gold standard by any measure. In fact, I've interviewed the top computer scientists in the country, and every one of them have said the gold standard in elections is not using a computer. A computer, which is what these machines are, is great for many things in our life and many things in our everyday life and made our lives better, but they're not for elections. We cannot use them for elections, and they've all said the gold standard is a hand-marked paper ballot, which we know captures the voter intent. We know that 99% captures the voter intent. We know that that ballot then is hand counted under a camera and it's recorded. That's what we would like to see, because then you have a record of every ballot that goes through, and that is what is critical, so that if anybody wants to challenge it, they can. Those are the things we're asking for, and I want you to know something. Do you know in Georgia, right now, I just read an article this before I came on air, and it was talking about the Georgia Republican Party is asking to do paper ballots. And they wanted to do a test run on one of the elections that are coming up, a very small election. And they were told by the Secretary of State's counsel, their attorney of Georgia, said, you can't do it. It's against the law. What are you talking about? You can't do a hand-marked paper ballot. They're going to force you to use machines. And we've seen that in many other states. Some of the states I've seen have said it's against the law to do a hand count. They don't want you doing hand counts, because the hand count is the Achilles heel of a lot of these fraudulent schemes to steal elections. Okay? But if you have the touchscreen computer, that's even worse. Because the touchscreen computer, when you touch the touchscreen computer, is one that you never can determine if the voter intent was captured or not. Because we know that 93% of the people can be cheated on if they want to, and they will never see a vote that's been flipped. We know that for a fact. There's been studies done on that. Professor Halderman did a study on that at the University of Michigan back a few years ago, where they looked at voters that came into a voting facility. They flipped the vote on them, and they realized that most of the people don't even check that piece of paper that comes out of that touchscreen. And the ones that do didn't even notice that their vote had been flipped. So we know that that's a real problem. And we know that we've got to get rid of these touchscreens, get rid of the computers, get rid of all of these electronic portions of our elections. If we do that, we got a shot at actually electing people who will do what the people want. And even here in Arkansas, we've got some issues in my state where the vast majority of people don't want the machines. They don't want these touchscreens. They never voted for touchscreens. They were pushed upon them, and they want paper ballots. How do I know this? Well, Rasmussen did a poll in Arkansas in October of 2023 where it showed the vast majority, 64% of people in Arkansas do not trust these machines. That's why Arkansas is always at the bottom, about the either 48, 49, or 50 in voter participation. They never talk about that, but voter participation is very important. We want more people to vote, and the way you do that is people have confidence that their vote actually counted. And so that's what we're trying to do, and we're going to force that as much as we can. Now, later in the program, at the bottom of the hour at 2:30, I'm going to bring on Mark Fincham. Now, I'll introduce him at the end of the program, but Mark is one of these fighters for election integrity, and in Arizona, I'm going to bring him on to talk about what he is doing, and I think you're going to find it extremely interesting. It talks about Act Blue, but I'll bring him on in a minute. I think we need to go to a commercial break if we could, just for a minute, and then we'll come back and then we'll get ready for Mark.
Let's face it, you can't trust Big Pharma. They've already tried to block ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and raise prices on everything from antibiotics to your daily meds. Well, there's good news. All Family Pharmacy is standing up for medical freedom and helping people get the treatments they actually want. My family and I use them all the time. They made it easy and affordable without the runaround. While other pharmacies are jacking up prices, they've actually dropped theirs. Ivermectin now starts at just $2 a capsule. Use my promo code Lindell10, you get an extra 10% off of that. You need ivermectin, antibiotics, or methylene blue, you name it, they've got it. They make it simple. You fill out a short online form, a licensed doctor reviews it, your meds ship fast right to your front door. If you want to be prepared and have your medications on hand, this is your new pharmacy. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10 saves you even more. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10.
State Senator in Arizona. Yeah, we're usually right here. Ally in election integrity.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. I'm Colonel Conrad Reynolds sitting in for Mike Lindell today. As you can see behind me, I'm at the White House, and this is a beautiful day here in Washington, D.C., and I'm glad to be here talking about election integrity issues and all type of important topics. And one that I wanted to talk to was something that Senator Mark Fincham. He's a state senator of Arizona, one of our favorite guests. He's a election integrity bulldog. He's been trying to make elections safe for a long, long time. And he is the director of Election Fairness Institute. And they have had some remarkable investigative, discoveries. And they've found a lot of fraud, it looks like, and into this one organization called Act Blue, and y'all probably know that as a Democrat organization. And is Mark with us?
Yes, I am.
There he is. Hey, Mark, how are you, Senator?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Colonel.
Doing good. I'm doing great. Listen, I kind of introduced you, but I'll tell you, this guy's got a great background. He has really, really been in the election integrity forefront for a long, long time. I met him at Mar-a-Lago a few years back, and I'm telling you, he's the real deal. And he's got some really good information that I think that our audience would like to know. So, Mark, I think I set you up. Let's hear it. What do you have?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So folks who follow the president out on Twitter probably saw him do a tweet about, I think Fox News picked it up, where he demanded that the Department of Justice look into Act Blue and the shenanigans with election financing fraud, basically public corruption. So that tells me that the president has seen our work product, because much of that is our work product that we have briefed both, not in person, but through documentation. The director or Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Patel, we've sent this documentation to them. We've also been in front of several U.S. attorneys, U.S. attorney not yet confirmed folks, We've got individuals with the Department of Homeland Security are interested. Basically, what we're talking about is the money that's being used to pay for access, to pay for power. The power brokers across the country are spreading cash around all over the place. It's all 50 states. It's all three branches of government. It goes from the county all the way up to the former President Biden. I mean, it's pervasive, okay? And it's big. Our work has been checked by some people might recognize the name Catherine Austin Fitz. She took a look at our work and she said, this is exactly what I saw back in the day. You guys are over the target and you should probably start riding a bike to work instead of a car. It's a lot harder.
Well, can you explain to the audience in very layman terms what it is that you've uncovered?
Well, it pencils out at about $1.6 trillion that we are able to find over the last 10 years or so. What happens is the officers of Act Blue were using private residences in order to collect massive amounts of money. So, and these are all fake numbers, so because I don't want to burn down a case that we've already got in progress. But think about it this way. You got Bob Smith, who's a board member with Act Blue. He buys a $250,000 house. Wells Fargo, I'm not accusing Wells Fargo of money laundering, even though they have had to pay
Any bank.
But let's just say that a bank, New City Bank, North America,
Right.
they open an escrow. You present the sales contract. Escrow, for its part, does title work. They'll come up with an Alta title policy, and they'll come up with a deed of trust, and they'll come up with the documentation to assure the bank that's giving you the money that they have an interest in real property, real estate. Okay? So the money changes hands. Escrow closes. The bank is now giving money to the escrow agent. The seller gets the money from the escrow agent. And the buyer has a house. Well, on the same day, the buyer quit claim deeds the property back to himself in order to open escrow. And suddenly a big number, 250 million, is wired into an escrow account. Title company processes that, closes escrow, the money is wired someplace. Now, we don't, because we're not law enforcement, the Election Fairness Institute is a 501c3. We're a research and reporting shop. That's it. We don't have access to a system called FinCEN or some of the other federal observation.
Just so you know, that's the Financial Crimes Network, FinCEN.
Yeah, so they're, you know, when you go to a bank and you have like a $5,000 deposit, they're going to ask you, so where'd you get the money from? Well, I sold my motorcycle. Oh, okay. When you get up into the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, you can't do that at a bank. You can't just walk into a bank and give them a suitcase of cash. They're going to be all over you like down an ape. However, if you wire that money into an escrow account for a home purchase, you're flying under the radar. And in the county records, we see absolutely no one identify as the lender. Yet the escrow's closed and the money gets wired out. Now, we've been able to locate hundreds of these transactions. That's why we know that this is a major contributor to financing campaign and election tampering. Let's not call it fraud right now because fraud's a specific crime, but it certainly is election tampering. Now, one of the things it mystifies me is in Arkansas, why the legislature would adopt your state, brother, your state is messed up. If your legislature adopts a mandate that goes counter to the people, that you must use a machine or will prohibit you from participating in elections in the future. And then why would Sarah Huckabee Sanders sign off on something that violates the principle of best practice? Now, here's a simple one for you. In every congressional district in the United States, I should say almost every, in 2026, there will only be 2 names on a ballot. There are a few states that are going to be reelecting senators. So, all right, you got 4 names. But when it comes to, for example, CD5, Congressional District 5 here in Arizona, there's only going to be 2 names on that ballot. You're going to have the incumbent Republican and you're going to have a Democrat challenger. That's it. So if you separate the federal ballot from the state office's ballot, I'm getting to this elegant, simple idea of how to do an election that for once is totally uncorruptible. Okay? You have a federal office only ballot that somebody can mark. If you've got one for the Republican, one for the Democrat, one for the Democrat, one for the Democrat, one for Republican, one for the Republican, you start stacking those, and before you're done, you're going to see who's winning. But you can measure that with a micrometer because you already know how thick the paper is. You can come plus or minus 1 ballot. But if you insist on hand counting, okay, you can do that too. My point here is that there is immense money sloshing around in the system to fight ballots and elections that are not merely simulations. They're buying off everybody from, and when I say buying off, it's not direct cash. It's campaign contributions. It's political action committees. In fact, in the news this morning, Bill Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is stepping away quietly, so much for that idea, away from Arabella Advisors. Arabella Advisors was set up to corrupt our election system with money. This whole point. The fact that USAID has been shut down and is no longer funneling money to NGOs, non-government organizations, that were turning around and funneling that money to PACs to influence elections. Wait a minute, isn't that a violation of the Logan Act somehow? You've got federal employees who are sending money to non-government employees. Just kind of let that sink in for a minute. You've got people, and this is what people are talking about in the deep state. So what we found with the Act Blue investigation, it's much more than Act Blue, by the way. But this is one small example of how money is flowing into the system and how elections have gone from being 20, 30 grand to run an election to $200, $300, $500,000 for a state office. And in Arizona, that pays $24,000 for a full-time job. So,
what states? You said it was all across America, right? Is there any state in particular, other than Arkansas, that you've looked at that you could give us some more detailed information on?
Yeah. So we got Florida, we got Georgia, Connecticut, California, Texas, Arizona. In fact, actually, Arizona seems to be the center of the universe in this whole fraud because the title company and one of the organizations that manages a lot of this just happens to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it appears to be a highly mechanized exchange. So when one of these goes through, it's nothing more than computer code running it through. Now, we have found in some of our documentation that after the 2024 election, before we saw a document, for example, that had a certain price and a certain valuation and descriptive information on October 1st. Oh, come November 30th, go back to revisit that document because LexisNexis told us there was a change. It's been totally altered. Well, how does that happen when the county recorder is supposed to be recording documents and keeping those documents saved for the record? That's a big question.
Sure it is.
County assessors who are, you would think that they would be calling out the whistle, blowing out the whistle on, hey, something's really strange here because we just had this thing recorded for $300 million and the house is only worth $300,000. But no, they're silent. So it's a target-rich environment for investigation. And like I say, we have now referred this to the Department of Justice. By the way, we're a small 501c3. If people want to know what we're about, they can go to goefi.org. We run this shop on under $100,000 at any given time. and we don't pay a lot. But I tell you
So
what,
if people want to donate, if so, people want to donate, they go to your site. Can you say that again so they know where to go?
yeah, Conrad, it's go efi.org. In fact, we're going to be doing a public briefing on all this stuff on the 11th of September in Arlington, Texas. Excuse me. If people would like to know more about that, they can contact me by email at mark, M-A-R-K, at goefi.org. Tickets are $125. It's a fundraiser for us to make sure that we can keep our staff on track to see the end of this investigation into actionable information for DOJ.
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing. I do have a question, though. Do you think that the cartels, how would this, would it dovetail into what the cartels are doing right now? Because I know the administration is really focused on that. And I'm just kind of curious, would it have something to do with that or not?
Yeah, well, that was the original theory of the case, that this was cartel money that was flowing into the U.S., but we soon came to understand it's a lot bigger than the cartels. The cartels are functionaries of adversarial governments. We know that the CCP provides all of the precursor chemicals for them to make fentanyl and all the poisons that's coming into our country. We also know that money is flowing in from Canada through certain banks in the form of wire transfers. I believe it was TD Bank was fined some crazy amount of money, like $1.6 billion for money laundering. But that was under the Biden administration, just before Biden left office. We think that probably was an opportunity that they took to tie off an investigation and essentially seal it. But with this president and hopefully with this DOJ, all of that's off the table. We have given them plenty of ammunition to keep busy for the next 12 months. My recommendation to the president, if he's listening to this, forget John Thune in the Senate and confirmation. Just start appointing special prosecutors, one in each state, detail them with a couple of FBI guys. We've got some people in our shop that I'd be happy to loan to the federal government that can help you do the investigations so that we can clean this mess up before 2026.
Well, I also heard that I think in Maricopa County they were trying to delete election data. There was a story that came out about that. Did you know anything about that?
Yeah, then there's that. Everything from deleting data to using...
Well, I just wanted to cover that before we left.
Yeah. Well, Carrie Lake and I caught, well, we didn't, our investigators caught Maricopa County Board of Supervisors and elections officials using basically what's called Frankenstein software. It may have been EAC, Election Assistance Commission certified at one point, but they went in and they altered the software. Well, once you do that, it's like altering a computer and the warranty no longer applies. Well, that certification no longer applies. And in fact, we know that they did that not only in 2022 when Carrie and I ran for governor and secretary of state, but they also did it in 2020 because we got the exact same machine code errors that came up on both elections. So I would look for a grand jury at some point, federal grand jury, maybe in Maricopa County, to start answering some questions about who knew what and when did they know it and who actually participated. Now, I think it's a fine thing for Colonel Phil Waldron to be exonerated and vindicated, quite frankly, because on November 30th, 2020, you may recall we held a hearing here in Arizona, the first, from what I understand, the first hearing ever to explore election tampering at the state legislative level. Phil Waldron was attacked for presenting the idea that we had foreign hackers coming in and altering our election results. Well, now it comes out, yeah, Serbia, Ukraine, why we're giving them money, I will never understand. But there are foreign agents who have hacked into our systems. So I hope the Arkansas legislature is listening to this. That is perhaps the stupidest thing I have seen a legislature do in the last 6 months. And there's a lot of stupid.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, as you well know, one of the first things you do to fix a state that's got all the problems Arkansas has is to have a good Secretary of State. And you and I both endorse an individual that Brian Norris, who is running for Secretary of State, to be that good guy. And I will tell you, I know him personally, and he led an effort in Independence County that is the first county, to our knowledge anyway, in America, where the voters got to actually vote on whether they wanted to have machines or hand marked paper ballots. And guess what? 63% of the people, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, voted that they in fact wanted hand marked paper ballots. They wanted the machines to go, which is right in line with exactly what the Rasmussen polling told us in October of 2023 for Arkansas, but also Rasmussen did a poll nationwide, and the same numbers exist. So we know that the people don't want what's being shoved down their throat, and that is these election machines. What is it, Mark? Before we go, what is it in D.C. that we can do to help you in Arizona?
Well, I think it's not just Arizona. This is a federal thing because I think the president has some defensible space just to call for, given what Tulsi Gabbard has found out. DNI Gabbard has done just a fabulous job. Knowing that these machines are compromised, knowing that they are not secure, that infrastructure now is a total mess under the last administration, all of the safeguards have just basically been blown away. The best thing that we can do at this point is for the president to come out with an executive order that requires paper ballots, a separate ballot for federal offices from state offices, that be hand marked at the precinct level on election day, and then be counted before they ever leave the precinct. That number.
Yeah, and you can do that with small precincts.
That number begins an audit trail, knowing the number of ballots that are in the system before the election starts. There's another one for you. But it's got to be paper ballots counted by hand on election day.
Marked by hand.
People have in person with a positive ID to prove that they are a citizen of the United States. Now, here in Arizona,
I agree with you.
All of those people that can't prove it, well, you're going to be able to vote anyhow. Better show an ID. Better show an ID. So,
I agree with you, and I think all of your points are spot on. And before I let you go, I want you to plug your website one more time, so that people know where to go to donate, because what you're doing is God's work, and we need help on that. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, we've got a project that we're going to be doing on September 11th in Arlington, Texas. It's $125 a ticket. Yeah, you get a steak dinner and all that, but you're going to have a personal briefing from me, from Sean Taylor, who's done a lot of this work, from Captain Seth Kessel is going to be there, and our good friend Jerome Corsi. Dr. Corsi is going to be there talking about some of the algorithms that we found in voter registration. So if people want to attend that, they can write me an email, or they can go directly to goefi.org. That's Go for Election Fairness Institute. goefi.org. Click on donate. You can see either $125 or $250 if you want to bring a spouse or significant other. And then in the drop-down box, just click special event, and we'll have your information. Look forward to seeing you there. If you can't make it, just we depend on small contributions, $20, $50 every month. So click on donate, make a contribution, and click the box that says recurring, and that'll be a great help to us. But we are making a difference, and we are in this battle. We're in it to win it.
Mark, thanks so much for joining us. I really do appreciate you. Again, it's Senator Mark Fincham. He's the director of the Election Fairness Institute. Support his organization. They're doing great stuff, and we need more of it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, listen, I'd like to take a quick break, a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after that with some closing thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you need like the second break?
Let's face it,
What's
you
that?
can't trust Big Pharma. They've already tried to block ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and raise prices on everything from antibiotics to your daily meds. Well, there's good news. All Family Pharmacy is standing up for medical freedom and helping people get the treatments they actually want. My family and I use them all the time. They made it easy and affordable without the runaround. While other pharmacies are jacking up prices, they've actually dropped theirs. Ivermectin now starts at just $2 a capsule. Use my promo code Lindell10, you get an extra 10% off of that. You need ivermectin, antibiotics, or methylene blue, you name it, they've got it. They make it simple. You fill out a short online form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and your meds ship fast right to your front door. If you want to be prepared and have your medications on hand, this is your new pharmacy. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10 saves you even more. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindell TV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Well, welcome back to the Mike Lindell Show. I'm Colonel Conrad Reynolds, sitting in for Mike today. And as you can see behind me, I'm at the White House. And it looks like it may be getting ready to rain a little bit. So if I say go to commercial break, you'll know that I'm running away from the rain here. But it was beautiful all up until just about a couple of minutes ago. But before that, I'd like to talk a couple of minutes about my thoughts on this, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to put my national security hat on here. But we have to fix these elections to stay in America. And I think the best way for the president to do it, and this is my personal opinion, he needs to declare a national emergency when it comes to these machines. Because everywhere we go, I don't care what state it's at, I don't care what county, we get fault all the way. They do not want to change. Even the Election Assistance Commission apparently is not going to do anything with the executive order that President Trump put out in March of this year. They do not want to change. And in fact, President Trump put out in that executive order, and if you haven't had a chance to read it, you ought to, the March 25th executive order, you can Google it, and you will see on election integrity, and you will see that President Trump was very clear. We don't want machines, and we don't want mail-out ballots, but we don't want machines that's got barcodes in them, barcodes or QR codes. And the problem with that is that you can't. They hide the numbers or the person you're voting for in the barcode. And even though it may list the name, that's not what the tabulators can read. They don't read names; they read barcodes. And so President Trump was very clear. We need to get rid of the barcodes. Well, the EAC, in a policy letter that they put out, I think it was on the 28th of May, said, we agree with the executive order, but guess what? We think that right now 98% of all counties in America already have paper ballots. So just a few counties don't. They're not even focusing on the fact that they are using barcodes and QR codes, and that is what the president specifically said they've got to get rid of. They're ignoring that. And so someone has to tell the EAC, you're wrong. In fact, the four people that are sitting there, the four commissioners on the EAC, have already outserved their time. They should go. And my recommendation is they need to leave, and we need to get new commissioners in there. And I would highly recommend to Senator Thune that that's one of the things that he does. And I would recommend to the president to basically terminate those four commissioners, because we need new blood in the EAC, and we need to tell the states what they need to be doing right now to prepare for a 2026 election. And they're not doing that. And so I think that everybody needs to understand the severity of this issue, and that the time is of the essence, because we're already now until the 4th of September. And very soon we're going to get into the new year. And like in my state, I think our elections start in February, early voting does. And then I think March 3rd is our election. So they need time to readjust, to get paper ballots, to train people how to do a paper ballot election. Even though we've done them for over 200 years, they're going to need new people to understand how to do it and how to do it right. And we know how to do it because we did it in one county in Arkansas. Searcy County, Arkansas was the first county in Arkansas to do hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots. And let me tell you, the state legislature and the State Board of Election Commissioners have vilified these three people. You know, they have tried these three commissioners, and that has been a real problem. And we've done our best to explain that to you guys. But I'm going to tell you, something is wrong. If the majority of people of the state want paper ballots, hand marked, they don't want machines, and they can't get it. We can't find one legislator. Not well, we've got one, I think. Out of 100 representatives, we've got one who's on our side. The 99 others are not. Not the 35 senators, not one of them. Nobody in the Huckabee Sanders administration. They're all against hand-marked paper ballots. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why is that happening? Well, we're going to try to find out. We're going to find out what that is. But in the meantime, we need President Trump in his administration to come down hard on these states, and we need everything we talked about election integrity and the emergency order right now is what he needs to do in order to be able to have the authority to say we're no longer using these vulnerable machines that have been proven to have vulnerabilities. And I think, this is just my opinion, I think you're going to find out that these machines have been manipulating our elections for a long time, longer than just the last 4 years. I think it's going to go way back. But I want to thank you for watching today. It's been a pleasure and an honor to do this show. I'm Colonel Conrad Reynolds, and in for Mike Lindell, and Mike will be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
You ever see this guy with the pillows on Fox? My pillow guy, Mike Lindell. He is the greatest. The My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. And he's been with us right from the beginning.
If you want to drop extra pounds, boost energy levels, and reduce